Welcome, everybody. This is John Fried. I'd like to call to order the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital Board of Directors special meeting for May 11, 2002. Juliet, would you make a roll call to see that we're all here?
Absolutely. Directors Gabriel Cox,
Here.
Nahara,
Here.
Pimentel,
Here.
Friel,
Here.
and Nunez.
So any introductions that we need to make before we move on? We just did the welcoming, I think.
Yeah, so I wanted just a little bit of background for the individuals also joining us, and for the newly to be formed board is we have this special meeting in place to really start formalizing the nonprofit hospital structure and governance. So you'll see chair, future chair, that in our item number 3, we're gonna put all the different officers, review them today and adopt them. And after that, you'll have the discretion, whoever you select as a chair, to continue with the meeting in the same format that we've done with the health district, in the health district meeting agenda. So hopefully that's clear for folks. So with that, I encourage, if there's any questions on the background or the purpose, we can discuss them now. And if not, we can move forward to item number 3 to officially select the different officers.
Okay, so any questions from the board before we move along? I was fortunate enough to get a call from Monica this morning to brief me on what we're doing here, because it's significant, of course, but it does reflect some things that we talked about at our last meeting. But after I processed it, I realized that, oh, yes, sure, we are having to act as the nonprofit, the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital, and that's the purpose of tonight's meeting. So thank you for doing that earlier today, Monica. So any questions of Monica about what we're going to be doing for the rest of the meeting? So item number 3 is selection of the organization of officers for 2022. It's an action item, and we have to select a chairperson, a vice chair, secretary and treasurer for the remaining calendar year 2022.
I'd like to move.
Go ahead.
I'd like to
Marcus.
call my intent to move for John and Jasmine to be our chair and vice chair, and to consider Tony as our secretary.
I think,
or something else.
so this is Katie. We could, if we have Jasmine as secretary, we could have Tony as vice chair. And then I'd like to make a motion for Marcus to be treasurer.
So let's make sure we're following the Robinson's rules of order, I guess it is. So Jasmine's presently secretary, and I think Dr. Cox is suggesting she stays as secretary. And I think Marcus was suggesting Tony become secretary. So am I clear?
Oh, I'm okay either way. Is there a preference in the group?
I don't want to add. Jasmine, do you have an opinion? I seem to see that you had a comment or a reaction to a statement.
No. I was just I wanted to be considerate of Tony in the situation in which he is right now. And I thought maybe just for consistency's sake, we might mirror what we have on the district in terms of board and board chair, since this is through the rest of the year, right? Mm-hmm. And then it'll change up. I'm just looking for consistency and order in my life. But I'm happy to step back and let somebody else if they're interested in being in that role.
So it's my understanding that the nonprofit has 4 positions. And so I think that if we keep Jasmine and John in their same positions, then we have 2 additional positions to fill for the nonprofit. So we could consider Marcus for treasurer and Tony for the additional position, which is vice chair. Is that correct?
That would be
think-
following the sequence in what you have to select from, yes.
Right.
And-
So
And
the
I'll
best
jump in,
way to,
I think. I'm sorry, John.
no, I was just going to say the best way to do that is for someone to make a motion that we can discuss and vote upon. So,
I just want to comment,
Yeah.
I don't want to over analyze it. I think John and myself are easy yeses. Jasmine, I think as a default, I know your title on the hospital board is secretary, but I think as a default, you act in that as a number 2.
That's right.
And it felt more comfortable for me to have you be the vice chair in this, so that consistency is there. I know the title is different.
That sounds good.
I also want to see if Noah has any thoughts on this, because we did discuss it with Noah and Jason. And so we said to keep it, our recommendation would be to keep it the way you have it in the health district. But want to hear from Noah on her thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's just easier because it's already a little confusing. You have the 2 entities. And so it might be easier just for consistency's sake to keep it the same.
Can I ask a quick question? So when we say the same, if the secretary on the district board functions as the vice chair,
Mm.
then do we mean if Jasmine is the vice chair on the hospital corporation board, she's not the secretary, she's the vice chair. So are we talking functionally the same or by title the same?
I would do it by title because I think maybe that's easiest.
So then she would be vice chair for the district, but she would not be vice chair for the hospital.
So Elisa, we have discussed too that in the future, the district can continue to expand its positions. Right now, because of what the nonprofit bylaws are requiring for the health hospital, it's just easier if we go by title as recommended by our council.
And I'll jump back in that I appreciate that, but I also recognize from a workload perspective, it's this entity that's going to be bearing the brunt of the work. And I think Jasmine, I feels like is can serve as a vice chair in a very strong manner. And given what we identified about Tony and his current life commitment, that it could create some. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
So if Tony is here, I'm certainly happy to hear his thoughts on this for himself. Tony, we're all debating about what's right for you.
I don't know how good the internet connection here is, but can you all hear me well enough? Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Let me do a quick summary for you, Tony, and hopefully you don't feel obligated to stay in this meeting when you have pressing matters to deal with. The question right now is we're going through organizing the officers for the rest of the year. There's a discussion about but there's 4 positions, which is the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. So the question right now is who would serve in the vice chair role? Would it be Jasmine? Because technically, to some extent, that's the role she's been playing in the health district, or can it potentially be you? And so the question is just being sensitive to everything that you have going on. And Jasmine, we wanted, since you're here, get your perspective on if you have a preference about the positions.
Yeah, I think at this time, I think I would be open to taking any one of the positions. I don't see how I don't foresee that it would be a challenge to take either one of the positions. I think it would be something that that we all, when we signed up to be on this board, is something that we all realize we'd have to take on some responsibilities, and so that's fine with me to take on either of the positions that my fellow directors feel I'd be okay to fill.
thank you, Tony, for telling us your flexibility. So we're back to, I think, a position of making a recommendation in the form of a motion to fill those offices of the hospital going forward till the end of this calendar year. Am I right, Monica?
That's right. And in the future, again, as health district, you can expand on some of these positions as well. So it all kind of starts mirroring each other.
Right.
But for now,
So-
the question, oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, we've had some discussion about it, and several, I think we're all willing to serve in whatever capacity we can be most effective. It's just a matter now of designating it and then someone making a motion so that we can have it second and vote on it.
I'd motion that John and Jasmine would serve as chair, vice chair. Tony would serve as secretary, and that I accept serving as a treasurer.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Do we need to have public comment at this point, Monica?
You could ask for comment on this item, if there is any comment.
Okay. So
Anyone
Juliet,
raise their hand?
Is there anybody online that would like to comment at this point? If so, raise their hand.
I do not show anyone with their hands raised for this item.
Okay. So we can move forward then with the vote.
Yes.
All in favor of that vote, as myself as president, Jasmine as vice president, Tony as secretary, and Marcus as treasurer, signify by saying, well, I'm sorry, we have to do a roll call because it's an action item. So Juliet, would you poll the board?
Absolutely. Director Gabriel Cox,
I,
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye,
That item passes unanimously.
thank you. So the next item on the board is consideration of late additions to the agenda. Are there any for this meeting?
No, Director Phil, we have no late additions.
Okay. And we need to see if there's anybody interested in public comment, which is item number 5. Juliet, you say there's no one on the line participating from the public. Is that still the case?
We have one attendee, however, no one has their hands raised at this time.
Okay, let's wait a second to see if that changes. Hearing none, I think we can move on then to the regular agenda, which is item number 6, appointment of legal counsel. It's an action item. I think you've got the recommended action in your agenda, but we want to approve the Santa Cruz County Council to act as legal counsel for the hospital board on an interim basis. And 2, approve the hiring of the law firms of Best and Krieger in Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman to provide additional legal services to the hospital board, and authorize the chair of the board to sign any documents related to the retaining of these firms. Any discussions from the board about this item?
I have none. I'm happy to send it to the public for comments and bring it back to the board.
Any public comment on that then?
We have no speakers for this item.
Okay, someone want to make a motion since it's an action item?
I motion to appoint the Santa Cruz County Council to act as legal counsel for the hospital board on an interim basis, and approve the hiring of the law firms of Best and Krieger, BBK, and Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman, Pillsbury, to provide additional legal services to the hospital board, and authorize the chair of the board to sign any documents related to the retainer of these firms.
Thank you, Jasmine.
That was a mouthful.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, Tony. So any further discussion before we call for the vote from the board? So hearing none, Juliet, would you poll the board, please?
Directors Gabriel Cox,
I,
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye,
That item passes unanimously.
thank you. So moving on to item number 7, selection of the rules of parliamentary procedure, which is an action item. Recommended action is that we adopt Rosenberg Rules of Order as the rules of parliamentary procedure for conducting meeting business. Any questions about what's in front of us for consideration? Any public comment on that particular topic?
I do not show any speakers for this item.
Thank you, Juliet. So I'll entertain a motion then that we approve item number 7, selection of rules of parliamentary procedure.
I'll move staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marcus and Dr. Cox. So please poll the board on their wishes for this item, Juliet.
Director Gabriel Cox,
Aye.
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye,
That item passes unanimously.
thank you. Moving on to item number 8, approval of agenda format, which is an action item. Recommended action is that we approve the use of the attached draft agenda format, including the use of a consent agenda for non-controversial items that do not require individual staff presentations. Any questions about what we're being asked to consider here? Any comment from the public at this point on this particular item?
I do not show any speakers for this item.
Okay, so the chair is open to a motion about item number 8.
I'll move to for approval of agenda format as outlined in number 8.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the action item number 8, which is approval of the agenda format. So would you poll the board, please, Juliet?
Director Gabriel Cox,
Aye.
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye.
That item passes unanimously.
Thank you all. So moving on to item number 9, which is scheduling the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital regular meeting dates for 2022. It's an action item. The recommended action is that we schedule the first and third Thursdays of the month at 5:30 p.m. as the date and time for the board's regularly scheduled meetings for 2022.
Director Field, can I just make a quick update for the team?
Please.
So I just want to notify that after reviewing this a little bit more carefully and comparing to other models that use a similar structure where there's going to be 2 entities, such as the health district in this case and the nonprofit hospital, we would and we're going to modify that to start the meeting at 5 o'clock. So just wanted to flag that for you. Any questions on that? I just wanted to make sure that that's clear for folks so there's no confusion.
That was my
Monica.
question.
Monica, my question was then if there were to be a need for the district to meet, we'd meet after the hospital meeting at 5?
That is correct. So we have the local library commission uses the same process where they have 2 different entities coming together, just as you are, and they both have in their separate agendas a starting time at 5. That gives you the ability, let's just say you go through your first health district items in 15 minutes versus 30 minutes, right? It gives you the ability to jump into your next meeting seamlessly without having to wait till 5:30 to start the meeting.
Okay, any other questions on that recommended change before we move along?
Yep. Yes, Chair. My only question is how will this look when it's noticed to the public? Will both of them say 5 o'clock, or how will this look when the public looks at this?
That is correct, Director Nunez. Both agendas will have 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And they both use the same links.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions then? If not, any questions from the public? Juliet, anyone raised their hand?
Do not show any speakers for this item.
Okay, so the chair will entertain a motion to approve this item number 9, scheduling the hospital regular meeting dates for 2022 to begin at 5 p.m.
I'll move staff recommendation, Chair.
And I'll second this, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. It's been moved and seconded then that we adopt item number 9. Juliet, would you poll the board, please?
Director Gabriel Cox,
I,
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye.
This item passes unanimously.
Thank you. So moving on to item number 10, which is Assembly Bill 361, resolution authorizing, which is an action item. The recommended action from staff is that we adopt the resolution making findings and ordering the use of teleconference meetings of the Board of Directors due to the COVID-19 pandemic pursuant to the requirements of Assembly Bill 361. And Part 2, direct interim administrative staff to return within 30 days with a new resolution addressing the need to continue holding teleconference meetings consistent with the requirements of Assembly Bill 361. Monica or staff, any more information on that we need to have before we move forward with questions?
It's the ability for you guys to basically to meet via Zoom or other type of virtual options. And so you already have adopted that under the health district. This is just the continuation of that protocol.
Thank you. Juliet, anybody in the public wishing to comment on this item?
I do not show any speakers for this item, Chair.
Thank you. So the chair will entertain a motion that we accept item number 10 dealing with the state's Assembly Bill 361.
Chair, I'll move this staff recommendation. I just had a quick question as to maybe Monica or someone else here knows when is Assembly Bill 361 the protections for the virtual meetings? Are they set to expire? Will they expire? I guess I should know this as a journalist, but I'm sorry to say I don't know this. And what's the plan after that?
So I'll start, and then if BBK wants to add, right now we're actually monitoring this because a lot of our current governance structures are utilizing this option. So far, it's in our county, it still remains in place. We are also monitoring other bills, state bills, where they're actually going to extend this permanently because they realize some of the efficiencies and the benefits of having virtual meeting. In some cases, it actually has increased participation from individuals that can't be present, but they still can listen when they're at home or with their children and so forth. So we will monitor this because it's of interest to the county as well as I know you guys, but Noel, BBK, any additions to this?
Nope, that's exactly right. It basically is related to the governor's state of emergency. And so as long as that's in place and the counties have their own health advisories in place, it'll continue to be operational. And the 2 bills that are pending are going to make things a lot easier. So we're all hoping that they pass in some form.
That's great news, just because I know that from covering these meetings, you know, as in my profession, I can attest to that there are several people who got into the public process during the pandemic for whatever reason and have continued to be a part of the public process even after the pandemic. Well, we're still in it, I suppose, you know, with me wearing a mask here. But
Right.
but as we've kind of moved out of it, you know, people are going to Watsonville City Council meetings and county supervisor meetings that didn't go before, and it's been a really great tool, I think.
Right. It took the pandemic for the Brown Act to change in that part.
It's a good way to put it. So that's fantastic. That's good to hear. Yeah, and like I said, Chair, I'll move this staff recommendation here.
Thank you, Tony.
And I'll second that recommendation.
Thank you, Jasmine. So it's been moved in and seconded that we accept item number 11, number 10, which is approval of the Assembly Bill 361 resolution. Juliet, would you poll the board, please?
Absolutely. And just for the record, Chair, we have no public comment on this item as well. Director Gabriel Cox,
I,
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye,
Item passes unanimously.
thank you. So moving on to number 11, approval of the bylaws for the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital, which is an action item. Recommendation is to consider the approval of the bylaws for the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital. We reviewed these, I believe, at our last meeting. So are there any questions from the board about this request to adopt the bylaws?
I just want to thank staff for being really responsive and getting edits in that I think we just reviewed a couple days ago. So thank you for that quick turnaround. They look good. Thank you.
Juliet, anyone in the public wish to comment on these?
We have no speakers for this item.
Okay, so the chair will entertain a motion to approve this item.
I'll move staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you. So Juliet, you want to poll the board, please?
Absolutely, Chair. Director Gabriel Cox,
Aye.
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Friel.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair. This item passes unanimously.
Friel or 1.
A phone call here at the same time, so I'm trying to technically manage a couple of different things, so excuse me. So let's move on to item number 12, which I believe is our last agenda item. And that is submission of hospital licensing and change of ownership application to the state, which is an action item. The recommended action is to authorize interim administrative staff to submit applications to the government agencies to transfer operating licenses and ownership for the Watsonville Community Hospital to the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Hospital. And number 2, authorize the board chair to sign any documents associated with the application process. Any questions from the board about this agenda item?
So just to be clear, we need to move on this quickly because this, if without these licenses, this is going to be a huge roadblock that will be an issue when we transfer.
Exactly. And the licenses that need to be transferred are set forth in that scope of work in Pillsbury's engagement letter. So if you're interested, you can look at that. It's like a 4-page list. But it's a good summary of what's out there and what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you.
And this is, John, it's my understanding that an appointment with the authorities and officials at the state is already set for later this week to begin the process of this issuance of ownership change and license. So you're right, Jasmine, all important that we approve it. Any other questions from the board before we ask for public comment?
This is a question for Noel. I think I know the answer. I just want to make sure I ask it. Item 1 is authorizing interim administrative staff to just file the application. Is there a need to identify staff by title? I mean, it's just filing an application, so I feel it's fine. I just wanted to clarify that we don't have a requirement to identify staff by title.
Correct. That's fine. Yeah.
And I'd like to, when we come back to the board, I'd like to just recommend that we have the board chair or vice chair sign so that either are available if there's a timing issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good point. Any other questions then before we open it for public comment? So if not, Juliet, is there anyone on the line that would wish to comment on this item, number 12?
I show no speakers for this item. However, to clarify for the record, would the motion that will be on the floor be to authorize both the board chair and vice chair to sign documents, or simply the board chair? The recommended actions list only the board chair.
So I'll motion to approve staff recommendations with the revision to add the vice chair as an authorized signer.
Thank you, Director Pimentel.
Thank you, Marcus. And so is it seconded then with that addition that Marcus just alluded to?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions from the public about, again, this agenda item, particularly with the change?
We have absolutely no speakers for this item, Chair.
Okay, so Juliet, would you go ahead and poll the board, please?
Director Gabriel Cox,
I,
Nahara,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Pimentel,
Aye.
and Frio.
Aye,
This item passes unanimously.
thank you. So Monica, is there anything else that needs to come before the board at this time?
Just congratulations, you're officially a nonprofit as well as a health district board, so. Great
Many
job.
firsts is a collaboration here.
Yeah.
Together.
Will you be issuing the appropriate hats for us to wear so that we can know who we are when we're meeting?
I will get you guys color-coded hats or something. No, that's it. We don't have anything from staff at this point, unless you guys have any other questions for us.
Just many thanks to all the staff that is helping in this effort. There's no way that as board members, we would have the ability, skills, time to do all of this. And so really, this truly is a community effort that we all are here to support. And I think that it's just really admirable. So thank you, everybody, for all that you're doing.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Definitely, just to echo Jasmine, you know, sometimes the law is tricky and sometimes the law doesn't work for everyone, right? But I'm really happy that our team was able to find a way to do this, so that we can continue to march forward to bring this community hospital back into public ownership. I really can't give enough thanks to the entire team, really. So thank you.
Yeah, the creativity that is preserving the opportunity for $10 million to stay in this community for this hospital by today's action is incredible and just very thoughtful, creative. And I echo all the comments. I'm very impressed and very appreciative.
And maybe we'll have a future leader born today that will also commemorate this day, Tony.
The future CEO, what the baby's name has to be Pajaro Healthcare District or something.
The same initials.
Yeah, maybe the middle name. We'll see.
Lots of luck to you and your wife, Tony. We wish you the best.
Thank
Very
you.
exciting.
Thank you.
And just I'm just so thankful. Your level of commitment is going to be unmatched historically. So thank you for being here today, Tony.
Yeah.
So Tony, when you're up at that 2:00 a.m. feeding, you'll be saying to yourself, why did I do this?
It'll be more the reminder from his partner that he was doing this.
You're right. Yeah.
This is going to be over your head for a long time, my friend.
Yeah. Take the words right out of my mouth. But thank you, everyone. Really, thank you. I'll pass along the good wishes as well too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. So if there's nothing more to come before the board tonight, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second, please. Moved and seconded, so I don't think we need to poll the board, but all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you all. Have a good evening and good luck, Tony. Let us know what happens.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Congrats. Take care,
Good
everyone.
evening,
Bye.
everyone.
Okay, thank you.